Hello and welcome to this demonstration of Integ's IVR reporting tool. This tool's designed to report on the activity of callers on Universal Routing Server, Genesis's routing server based IVRs, so not necessarily Genesis voice platform, but more URS based IVRs. So we've developed a mock IVR application and configured the IVR reporting tool to understand that IVR structure and to track callers' interactions with that IVR and log those interactions to the underlying reporting database. And then this in front of us at the moment is the web interface for reporting on some of that data. So it only shows a few of the available statistics. There are many others available which can be accessed directly from the database using other reporting tools. So I'm going to quickly run through each of the reports available from this web-based interface just to give you a feel for what the product is. So on the left of the screen is the IVR structure. This is a flat representation, if you like, of the IVR. So each of these represents a node on the IVR. Starting at the welcome node, caller comes in and hears the prompt, the welcome prompt, and is provided options that they can select. And if they select option 1, this structure here is telling you as the reporting person where that option leads to. So in this case, the welcome node option 1 leads to the sales node, and if you go to the sales node, you've got a couple of options as well, and option 1 on the sales node sends it to a skill called cable sales in this example. So that's the structure represented there. As you can see, this is a pretty basic IVR with only 2 levels, the welcome level and then the 2 levels, the options underneath that level. The default report is the daily summary report. So starting from the selected date, and in this case we've got the 14th of September 2008, select your date up here. So for the 14th of September, the daily report shows the last 7 days of summary IVR data. So what we have on this particular report is the number of calls that entered on that day, how many abandoned, what the percentage of abandons were, what was the average duration that a caller spent in the IVR on that day, and what's the maximum amount of time that any one particular caller spent on the IVR. You can drill in, so we can have a look at the 12th. By clicking on the date, it'll drill in and show you by hour how those calls landed, and then obviously a graph representation of that as well. There are tabular and graphical representations of each of the report's data in this interface, and the tabular stuff's at the top on the right and then the graph underneath it. If you want to have a look at a particular node, so we want to have a look at the service node, you can click on the node over here to drill into that. So now what we've got is how many callers entered and some other statistics for these dates just on that particular node of the IVR. So in this case, we can see that on the 11th of September 2008, 65 calls entered, 2 abandoned. On 5 occasions, callers asked to repeat. Timed out. So they were given a prompt with some options to select, and they didn't make a selection within the timeout period, and so that's logged as well. And so we see that 5 callers fell into that category. And then how many times there were repeat requests. So how many times did they want to hear the options again? And so they actually pressed the option that actually repeats the message. And then the average time that a caller spends on that particular node. And so the underlying database actually knows what the total amount of time the prompt takes. So for example, if to read out the options takes 10 seconds, the system knows that as well. So some of the underlying statistics in the database tables, for example, you can actually see, how much of the time of the prompt did callers spend listening to it. So did they listen to 70% of the message before they made their selection, or did they listen to 2 seconds of it, of a 15-second message, which would obviously indicate familiarity with the IVR. So that's some interesting things that you can get out of it. Obviously, with timeouts and abandons and repeat requests, there's a lot you can read into that information as well. So if if there's a high level of abandons on a particular node of an IVR, then perhaps you're saying the right thing on that node that is satisfying the caller's needs, and they're releasing the call and not needing to go any further to agents, for example. And if there's a high number of timeouts, then perhaps you aren't giving enough time to the caller to make their selection, or perhaps your prompt isn't clear and they're thinking too hard about it and not answering it within the specified timeout. And likewise for repeat requests, if there's a high number of repeat requests, then perhaps the prompt is not clear. So that's the the default report, and that's the daily report. So we'll now have a look at some of the other reports that are available. So we've got a time buckets report as well. So by 10 seconds, 10-second buckets, you see how many calls for the selected date landed and spent time on the IVR. So in this case, 77 calls spent between 11 and 20 seconds on the IVR, 37 between 21 and 30, and so on. And then there's a graph of that there as well. We've got the monthly report. So for the selected year, which in this case is 2008, it shows every month of that year and the available data, summary data for that month, and the graph. This demonstration, IVR obviously hasn't had any calls apart from those on September 2008. Then we have the day of week report. This really, I guess, just gives you an idea of the distribution of calls through the week. So it's showing the days of the week and how many calls entered and abandoned the IVR, and it's across all weeks for the year that you selected. So they're the reports, and then we go back to the daily report, which is the one we started at. They're the reports available through the web interface, and as I said, there's lots more information available through the database tables that you can report on through other reporting tools. Hope you like this demonstration, and if you want any more information, get in touch with Integ. Thank you.